Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Ball Boxing, joined by regulars Orkan. Good evening, Orkan.
Good evening.
Harrison. Good evening, Harrison.
Evening, Carl. Good to see you.
Likewise. And the Joker in the pack, we'll keep that one private, Daz. Mr. Medcalf.
All right.
All good, all good. So let's jump straight into it, guys. So, obviously, Matchroom show at the weekend. Very interesting one. A vested interest in one fight on the card for Mr. Medcalf, I'd imagine. So let's make a start with that one. So obviously, Maisie Rose Courtney got defeated, Daz. Give us your thoughts of the fight, and we kind of saw it coming, right?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Jasmine is a good fighter. Maisie's not as good as she thinks she is. Very one trick pony, but it's like, what is that trick? You know what I mean? You don't punch hard. You know, I said it about Shannon Ryan. You fall into this thing where they fall into this thing where they think they can knock people out with one shot, and they can't do that. You know, listen, I just thought it was a good performance from Jasmine. I thought she just boxed her head off, to be fair.
Come on then, Dad. I'm going to go a bit deeper. There's been questions I've been wanting to ask all week, I'll be honest
with you. Go on there. How many you got, Tass?
Well, I'm sure Harrison, I'm sure all kind of got questions as well, because, you know...
right, go on. You can have two each.
We're quite privileged to have you on the show, Dan. I'm not going to give you a big head, but we're quite privileged. So is Jasmina now on Oakwell's radar, would be my question.
Honest answer, maybe, and that's me being honest. You know, I think Jasmina deserves the fight that Maisie was down for next against Chloe Watson. Listen, as a team, we've got his eyes on Chloe Watson. We want Chloe Watson. We either want Chloe Watson or we want something significant, like, you know, maybe a WBC international, you know, something like that. Possible. I think it will happen at some point. Nick and Jasmina, maybe. I'll be honest, from a trainer's point of view, and knowing what Nick's capable of, I'm just so annoyed that Emma Dolan got to Shannon Ryan first and Jasmina got to Maisie Rose first, because Nick would have beaten them both as well. But, you know, fair play. She took her chance.
And that you kind of preempted my second one regarding Chloe Watson, because obviously, would that be your first choice of opponent next, Daz? If you had a magic wand, that's a pen, but it looks like a one.
It depends when it. I mean, I think Chloe's. I don't know if Chloe's booked in for September, October.
There's nothing on BoxRec yet.
No. I think it were agreed that they'd fight in maybe October, maybe November.
Yeah, October time.
Yeah, for Chloe and Maisie.
So
like I said,
Daz, couldn't Oakwell take that slot now? The stars are aligning a little bit, aren't they, in terms of timings?
It could do, yeah. Definitely she could do. But I will say, and listen, I'm always honest.
Yeah.
You know, and as much as I'd snap that, you know, we'd snap that fight up, I think it'd be a bit hard done to from Jasmina not to get that fight. If I'm totally honest. Now, listen, I'm not just saying that because, you know, I like Jasmine. I've, you know, spoke to her a bit. Obviously, Ebony sponsors her and Ebony's friends with her as well. But she's, you know, she's earned it. She's earned it. Yeah. You know, she's beat the girl. I'm not saying Nick hasn't, but Jasmine has beat the girl who was supposed to be the mandatory challenger for European title. So, you know, going off UFC rules, that should really put you in line. You know what I mean? In an ideal world.
Yeah. I'm not putting it on you here, But you did say we expect some fight news maybe August. Is that still looking the case for Nicola Hopewell? We might hear something about any development.
Mate, honestly, I don't know.
I know you're not overly involved in that side of it.
No, I don't know a minute. We're just still waiting on certain people doing the jobs.
Which you must be getting itchy knuckles, right?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah. You know, these things we've been working on that I want her to be able to show in a fight. You know, it might be a case if she has a little run out.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? But end of the day, she's Commonwealth champion. She's you know, she's got a major title. So
yeah,
you know, I mean, these talk of Shannon Ryan's moving down to flyweight as well. So you know, no doubt Shannon might see that as a possible way back into title contention, or this talk that she could fight Jasmina as well, seeing as she's already got a win over Jasmina.
I appreciate your answers, Daz, and I'll take you off the hook now, okay, fella? Thank you.
You're all right. You're all right.
So I'll come to Orkan next. Orkan, give us your thoughts on the fight.
It wasn't a surprise for me either, but I when I listened to you all of the prediction, I had the prediction a split decision for Macy, but when I listened to all here, and I then turn around my thoughts to Jasmina win, and I told a Swedish journalist my prediction for that. So the day after the show on Thursday. So, but I thought that the fight would be more even. I didn't thought that Jasmina would dominate like she did. I was very impressed by Jasmina with her performance, and sadly the DAZN stream had an issue outside the UK, so I couldn't watch the fight live. So I could jump on the copper box card just before the main event, but I rewatched the other fights later. So I watched it after the show, the Macy Rose Jasmina fight. So,
okay. Thank you. And last but no way least, Harrison.
I was in a similar situation to Hawk, and I didn't watch the fight on the Saturday because there was a small game of football on before that, so caught up on the Sunday. But I wasn't too surprised, to be completely honest. I was like, we talked last week quite in depth about this fight, and I'll tell you what, it's starting to become a really nice division to sort of watch and spectate on. I know it's probably a bit more difficult for Daz being involved at the high end, but we're at like a nice level now where it's regenerated itself, and there's some really good fights to be made. I do think that Chloe Watson fight makes a lot of sense for Nicola Hopewell, but then you do feel a bit hard done by for Zappacosta, like Daz said, because she boxed a career best, I thought, on Saturday night. I thought she looked really good, deserved a wide scorecards victory. Maisie Rose just flat, just really, really flat to deceive, and completely honest. She's not putting combination shots together. She's not technically fast on her hands. She's not got the power, and even if she did, it's not going to be effective at flyweight. So I don't know. There's going to be a rebuild for her. I think Matchroom might have a bit of a decision on their hands. I'm not suggesting they drop her. I just think that the guidance needs to be now. She needs to go right back into a high-level fight. She's not going to take the rematch because she was convincingly beaten, in my opinion. So that would be a silly rematch. But she has to stay at the top level if she wants to keep this Matchroom contract.
My concern is, Harrison, if I'm honest, is that there's a bit of a blueprint now regarding how to beat Rose Corner. So can she rejuvenate herself? Can she reinvent herself? They're two very big questions, right?
Let's hope so. I mean, it's really difficult. The thing is with a lot of these flyweights, they have all lost some sort of air of invincibility. They've all kind of, all of the fighters at the top have lost or haven't looked. I don't think there's any stand-up fighter. I know we spoke about if Chloe Watson did fight Nicola Hopewell, who would win. I would say Watson, but I don't think by any stretch she's not going to win all 10 rounds. So there's opportunity and time for Maisie Rose Courtney. She's still young. She's still only had 7-8 fights. So I think she can rejuvenate her career. It's a big ask, though.
She looked like she ran out of ideas, Rose Courtney, didn't she, on Saturday night, in my opinion. Moving on to the next fight.
Just before you move on, the interesting comment from Nick, to be fair, on Maisie, because in Nick's last amateur fight, she actually fought Maisie. And Nick said she still fights the same way she did as an amateur.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? She's still the same way. So it's a good division. It is a good division. And, you know, let's just hope we can get them all together. It's one of them where if you know, 2 of the 4 or so in the mix fight each other, the loser isn't necessarily has nowhere to go because there's always going to be marketable fights for him.
And also, it's nice that Oatwell's going to have some options, isn't it? She's probably in the strongest position she's been in her pro career, right? In terms of
listen, not just Nicola, mate, not just Nicola, but you know, even Maisie sells a lot of tickets, by all accounts.
West Ham.
Yeah, sells a lot of tickets. Chloe's, you know, good fight. I don't think whether you think Chloe's the best or listen, there's some people think Jasmine is the best. There's some people think that Maisie could be the best. There's people that think Nicola could be the best. Obviously, these people.
That.
Well, yeah, listen, there's going to be people who you're going to throw Shannon Ryan into the mix. Now, listen, I obviously think from what I see and obviously what I tease, I think Nicola is going to turn out to be the best of a lot of them. But I still don't think, and it's me being brutally honest, it's not the fact that whoever ends up as the best is not going to be streets ahead of the others.
Yeah,
it's going to be nip and tuck. It's going to be, you know, if you can take those names and listen, I'll be honest with you. Put Nicola in and Chloe and Jasmine in with Shannon Ryan and Maisie on what they've shown, they can be outboxed. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I think if you put Nicola with Chloe with Jasmina with Nicola, sort of thing, I think you're going to get an absolute barnstorm of fights, to be fair. You know, and I don't think whoever comes out on top is going to turn around after the fight and go, that were an easy fight.
I think Chloe Watson against Oatwell is an absolute barnstormer.
Good fight.
I think that's going to be a quality fight.
I think if you put, Nick, you know what Nick's like. She likes, you know, she likes to have a tear up, but I promise you, she can box when she wants to. But yeah, she's just got that killer instinct in her, you know, and it belies her personality out at ring, to be fair.
Exciting times ahead for that division, though.
It is, mate. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, moving on to Reece Bellotti versus Levi Giles. I think it was a quality fight. We all predicted we thought this was going to be a bit of a war, didn't we, last Thursday? So I will come to Orkan first. So Orkan, give us your thoughts regarding this fight.
I haven't watched the full fight of this one. I watched I think it was from round 5 onwards. The stream came back round 5, round 6. But what I saw, Reece Bellotti was very impressive for me.
Okay. Moving on to Harrison next. Harrison, that 12th round was interesting. Bellotti looked like he was out on his feet to me.
Yeah. I know. I suggest he probably didn't need to box that 12th round the way he did, to be completely honest. Just thought, I thought he was quite comfortably ahead by the time we got to that stage. I think some people had it a bit closer. Really good fight. We expected it was going to be a good fight, and the 2 lads who they do come and they have a good go at it, and they're the type of people you want to see in these domestic dust-ups going forward, because I've talked quite a lot about it on different shows and whatnot, saying that the dilution of British boxing at the minute is really worrying. with how much of the work is going out to Saudi Arabia and America. So it's good that we get to see some of these fights at least. Reece Bellotti, I wouldn't say it was a career best, but he did look way too good for Levi Giles, which wasn't too surprising. I just think given the experience of both men, but I think Reece Belotti's put himself back in a really good position here, to be honest. He's defended the British title now, picked up a Commonwealth as well. Like, I just think there's a really good chance he could be in some big fights going forward.
Is it a case of a really good European level fighter against a really good domestic level fighter, Harrison?
That fight then on Saturday?
Mm.
Yeah, probably. It's a fair comment to say that, I think. And Reece Bellotti could go on and probably fight for the European title if the heavens open for him at super featherweight. But the problem is, if you were to put him in then against one of the big boys, or even someone like Anthony Kakachi, he'd get found out, I think, pretty quickly. But he's one of those fighters. He's good to watch at this level, anyways.
Yeah. Daz, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I predicted Bellotti were going to win. Thought Bellotti had stopped him late. I think it went pretty much way that I thought. Bellotti were just a bit too good. Not saying Levi Giles can't come back, learn from it and come back. He was quite hard done to against Gomez Jr., to be fair, I thought.
Yeah.
So he's gone in with another good fighter in Bellotti, and he's come up short, but I'm sure he'll go away and learn from it.
It's a sort of fighter that you will to win, Levi Giles, don't you, Daz? Because is a credit to the sport. He lives the life, jumps in with anybody. So you'd like to see him get that big win, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think thing with Bellotti is Bellotti's pretty much the same. Bellotti's got a will to him. Bellotti works, his backside off.
Yeah.
But I think they're just a bit of extra, quality. Maybe with Bellotti, little bit more seasoned, maybe. So,
do you think Bellotti, from a coaching perspective, Dad, do you think Bellotti's got a few more levels in him, or is he limited? Limited might be a bit harsh, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with discipline. How you approach a game plan. You know what I mean? It's like Harrison said, you didn't need to fight the 12th round that way. So,
and it nearly cost him, right? It was close, wasn't it?
Exactly that. You see, thing is, you're winning the fight. So to go out and fight like that is every coach's worst nightmare. To be fair, when your fighter's in front, do you know what I mean? You sort of think, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like kamikaze. So, there's probably a bit of a lack of discipline to follow a game plan, maybe. And that's a big thing that, when you go to, the level is at, even, to be fair, and then, European title level, you make a mistake and you deviate from your plan, it can cost you the fight.
Yeah, fully agree. Okay, this one might not take long. It might be about as long as the fight was. So moving on to Johnny Fisher versus Alan Babic. So Harrison, we're going to come to you first, and just one question I'll pose for you to throw in the mix regarding your response. Was it a great performance by Fisher, or was it an absolutely spent Babic, or somewhere in the middle?
Doesn't matter. Honestly, it sounds blunt to say this, but it doesn't really matter. If you're in the heavyweight division at that level and you can't take one single punch, it doesn't matter how good or bad your performance is. You just simply shouldn't be at that level. You shouldn't. And Alan Babic is one of those who we all kind of liked at the start of his career because there was a bit of potential there and he was quite well promoted, I thought, by Matchroom. Second he's gone into any sort of competitive level, he's been found out twice.
Yeah, I didn't, Harrison. I've never enjoyed him because I've always thought he's a bit of a gimmick.
Right. Well, there you go. We're not for everybody, but I just thought he was, especially during that sort of lockdown period, when he asked his missus to marry him and all. I thought he was quite a good character, but in terms of his boxing ability, there's just nothing there really. Johnny Fisher's put himself right up there now in the British, in the domestic scene. We talked about whether or not he was behind that level of the Fraser Clarks, the Fabio Wardleys, and he probably still is, but over now, we'll see him in Manchester in a few weeks' time. We'll probably see him around Christmas. And then next year, he's going to have his eye on that British title. He probably will be a mandatory for the British title by the end of the year because he is Very, very, very good. Hell of a lot of power for what he is. He stands up. He's big in his shots. Strong with that right hand as well. He's what you want to see from a modern day heavyweight. Really, someone who stands. He's tall. He's big in his frame, and he was brilliant. Really, really good again on Saturday night. Very good crowd in as well at the Copper Bosch. Or the Copper. Sorry, I've said it now. The Copper Bosch. Copper Bosch. Fuck. Someone got that into my head in the week and I couldn't stop.
Eddie Hearn's done a great job with that marketing, hasn't he?
I haven't got it stuck up my
You're
head.
ordering a Chinese in a minute, Harrison.
Don't tempt me. No, he's done brilliant. He's a very marketable, but he's probably now there'd be a few fighters, especially up in the northeast, who would disagree. He's probably the best ticket seller in the country at the minute. In terms of just out of hand, what he does functionally, like what did he get? 3,000-4,000 in the Copper Box on Saturday. That takes some good going. That does.
I'll stand by what I said, Harrison, last week with regards to Eddie Hearn's approach to him. I think he's a better fighter, and Eddie Hearn's realising he's a better fighter than he thought he was.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he has hit a little bit of a gold line with Johnny Fisher, but it works, doesn't it? If he's promotable and he can punch, and obviously he's got that sort of charisma around him, and his old man's very funny, then it's brilliant. Like I'm sure those two will be at the final on Sunday as well. They're very, very marketable. I like them.
Okay, thank you very much. Daz, moving on to you. Give us your thoughts.
Babic never really been convinced by him, to be fair. I tried to fight him, didn't I? Mark Bennett.
Yeah.
I think that's when he proposed to his missus after he beat Mark, I think.
It was in Eddie's back garden.
Yeah. He stopped. Mark retired. I mean, I wasn't there. I wasn't able to get time off work. Obviously, Mark was trained by me and Mike White. And Mark basically got off at Settee to fight him. He had a 6-week camp, but it was to basically get a little bit of fitness. I don't know if you saw that fight, Harrison. I
remember it. Yeah.
I mean, Mark landed a few, but he went back to the corner, end at first round, and went, "I'm knackered."
I don't know.
They were knackered. There were nothing, Babic, and I think commentators were even saying, "Bloody hell, he's tough." He is. He's got a head like a rock, Mark. But
has he packed it in now, Mark Bennett? I haven't seen.
He tore his Achilles playing rugby. So he's talking about it. He's talking about
big unit, hasn't it? Big unit. What's he stand at?
Mate is about 6'3", 6'4", about 19 stone, and trust me, the geezer is hard as nails. Honestly, he went to spar Tyson Fury, and there was him and Erkan Tepe was European champion, and listen, they both got schooled. Mark will tell you that, but he did better than Erkan Tepe did.
Wow.
And we was with him when he got to the final at Ultimate Boxer, and he had a right tear up with Jay McFarlane, which hands up could have gone to Jay, to be fair, but then he absolutely brutalized Josh Sandland. He just but then Josh turned it sort of around a bit, and that was a bit of a barnstormer. And then Nick Webb in final, and I always remember this because Scott Welch, who was like British, European, Commonwealth champ for world title, he was Nick Webb's trainer, and obviously Nick Webb had a fairly straightforward path through to the final, and he come out, and Scott, we've had laughs about this, me and Scott, and he said, put it on him, he'll be knackered. So Nick's landed a monstrous right hand in first round, and all you can hear is Scott going, get into him, he's done. Next minute, Mark starts snarling and swinging shots like a wild man, and then all you hear is Scott going, back on your bloody jab. And he says, oh, hard man. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, but like we said, we're back onto original subject. Babic, never really quite entertaining. And obviously very popular in his own country. Before Mark fought him, we were getting messages off Croatian people who he didn't even know, sending him lizards, little photos of lizards, because it's to do with Croatian football firms or something, this lizard thing. And he kept sending him lizards. And Mark said to him in dressing room afterwards, listen, can you sort all your lot out? He says, tell him to stop sending me pictures of lizards. It's doing me head in. And Alan Babic actually put a post on Instagram. You'll probably be able to find it if you scroll back, saying, Mark Bennett's a good guy. He's a crazy guy. Stop it with the lizards.
Do you know Fisher does?
Yeah.
It's going to be out on the 24th, and then I think it's going to be Dave Allen back end of the year, and then I've been told it's a loser of Wardley versus Clark.
Right.
Can I get in here?
Yeah, go on.
I have watched the interviews from Philadelphia with Eddie Hearn regarding Johnny Fisher. So for August 24th, it's an international opponent.
Okay.
And after that fight, it will be on the Liam Paro card in Australia.
Yeah.
Johnny Fisher has a good following in Australia with help from his dad. And after that, February, March time, headlining at the Copper Bosch for a delay or Dacres type of fight. And after that, Wardley Clark winner at the O2.
So there's quite a few hurdles there, isn't there, for him to get over?
Yes.
It's nice.
Yes, but Eddie Hearn lined up a full year of fights that they're looking for.
I mean, let's have it right, Orkan. With a half decent undercard, Johnny Fisher sells out the Copper Box, don't he? And I did say Copper Box, Harrison. So they're gonna. I think they're gonna make that his home, aren't they?
Yes.
Or Wembley.
O2, maybe a shot. O2.
Much too big at the minute, but it's getting there. I think Wembley.
Yeah, for the British title, Clark.
Yeah, the British title fight will be at the O2, but the next, well, it depends if he fights again. So he's doing Manny, and then he's out to Australia, and then it'll probably be the British title after that, won't it?
So English title
English
first,
title.
and then British.
Okay.
It looks like that when I watch the interviews with Eddie from Philly.
I don't like the Dave Allen fight, though.
That'll happen, though, won't it? You know that'll happen, don't you?
I don't think it will.
No, because he's not going to fight him in Australia, is he?
No,
it won't fight. If it doesn't happen next, which it isn't, then it won't happen.
Eddie Hearn said in another interview, Orkan, other promoters are available, I feel I need to say. If Dave Allen can put a couple of wins together, then he will jump in with Fisher. Well, that could take you to when? Could take you to middle of next year, couldn't it? Quite easily.
Yes.
So
And,
I'll have a comment on it with you, Darren, that says it does happen, because I think it does happen. Maybe not next. I think it'll be middle of next year.
Yeah, and I'm very glad that he was added to the Manchester card, where I think the fight week will be awesome. On the
Give me your thoughts, Orkan. I know it's very quick, but the fight against Babic, and also how far do you think Fisher can go?
I think if they match him, he can't take a British title already. So if they match him, that the fourth, fifth fight from now is for the British. I think it's too early now to.
I'm not sure, guys, because I'm thinking if you throw Johnny Fisher in with Fraser Clark now, it's not a mismatch, is it?
Not a mismatch, but I think it's too early.
I think he'd get knocked out.
Do you really, Harrison? I'm not. I think he's a bit better than that.
I still think there's a step or two to go. I think that Wardley and Clark are both like past the British level. They just happen to be fighting for the title. But I think that Fisher's just coming up to that British level now. I'm in agreement with you. Come back to this question in 2-3 fights' time, and if he continues to perform on this little globe-trotting performance as well, then I think we'll be in a bit of a safer position to have the discussion about it. But right now, you wouldn't give Fisher much of a chance, I don't think, against those two.
Interesting.
They're both big punches. They're both really big punches, to be fair, Wardley and Clark. You've got to remember that. Fisher hasn't been hit yet, which is a problem. When he takes a punch, then we'll really know if he can stand up to it. I'm not saying
if he can take a punch, then we've got a fight on our hands.
And then it's live, yeah. Then it's really live.
And they are looking for an international opponent, Eddie Hearn said, and an opponent that can get him some rounds, not a KO first, second round.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see who they bring over for that 24th of August. It'll be very interesting to see who they bring over.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, guys, moving on. So I'm sure we're all going to be getting up early hours of the morning for this one. Obviously, me and Darren know Carl Greaves quite well, who's got a vested interest in this fight. So I'm going to come to Harrison first on this one. Simple. Break it down for us. And does Evan Easton have a chance, Harrison?
Everyone has a chance in any fight ever, to some extent, and then it's a case of working backwards of how much of the opportunity they have. If Anthony Joshua's fighting a 1 in 100 heavyweight, he has a very small chance. In the case of David Avanesian fighting Jaron Ennis, he's got a bit more of a chance, but you can only string it out so far before you start to get a bit unrealistic, and then a bias sort of comes into the situation. And I know Daz is massive on him, and so am I. Jaron Ennis is the full package, and everything is in line for him for things to go right on Saturday night, and it'll be disappointed if it doesn't. New promotional banner, homecoming in Philly. He sold silly amount of tickets. They're nearly 20,000 now, I believe. They're absolutely on their game for this fight, so everything is in line for everything to work. I actually think David Avanesian's probably a better opponent than the original lad they had in. That's probably a good thing for Jaron Ennis. It's a bit more to get out of bed for. He is a danger. We've seen Avanesian on these shows for quite some time, and he's been in some really good fights. So look, let's see what happens on Saturday night. But for me, Jaron Ennis will just be too good, too clever, too quick on his feet, to be completely honest. Want to see a bit more of a power buffer at welterweight, but other than that, I'm expecting a really dominant performance. Maybe points. I think Avanesian, other than that first round blowout he had once, he's got a bit of a chin. So I'm going to go Jaron Ennis on a very wide points victory.
Okay. Orkan, coming to you next. Same question, giving you a breakdown.
I think that Avanesian fight is a better fight than Cody Crowley, but I think Jaron Ennis is too good even for Avanesian. But I think it will be a good fight, but that Jaron Ennis might win on a late stoppage.
Do you want to give it a round number then? Or can
round 9.
Round 9, thank you. Daz?
I'm a fan of Ennis. Big fan of Ennis, in fact. Like Avanesian, I like him as well, to be fair. But I think now we've just got to take his friendship and rose-tinted glasses off and just realise it for what it is. I think Ennis is special, and he's going to go down and be remembered as special. Last time I, put this much effort into being a fan of somebody, it were a kid I watched in Olympics, and I said, he's going to win world titles, this geezer. And that one, a certain Miguel Cotto. Right, with Miguel Cotto, mate. Miguel Cotto. And I think Ennis is going to surpass Cotto. I think Ennis is going to be a special, regarded as very, very, very special. Only trouble I find with Ennis is he going to have the dance partners? That's the issue. Will he have to go up? He's a big unit as well for a welter.
Yeah.
Immensely powerful. But he seems to have it all. Like Harrison said, seems to have it all. Can box. You know,
Conor then next.
if he's got a chin, mate, then I think everyone around 154, 147's in trouble. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just seems to, you know, it reminds me of a little bit with the sort of reputation and the punch. A young Gerald McClellan. You know, people like when McClellan was coming up. I mean, McClellan was a lot more skillful than people gave him credit for, and you know, McClellan could bang. You know, and he was set. He used to set the shots up. I think Ennis is in that mold. And if he keeps grounded, keeps doing what he's doing, then he's going to take some beating.
Does he beat Crawford? Does Boots Ennis?
Mate, I think he does. I think he does. Yeah.
What a fight, though. What a fight.
He does. I think he does. You know, listen, I'm a fan of Crawford as well, but I just think Ennis is going to be that good. I don't think they're going to fight, to be fair.
It'll be interesting to draw that comparison, won't it, with regards to how Crawford dealt with Evanesian and how Ennis deals with him. I mean, last time, Dad, I had my rose tinted glasses on regarding Carl Greaser's stable. I picked Emma Dolan, if you remember, Harrison and Orkan to win. I don't think I can quite stretch this one that far, to be honest. Props to Evanesian for going out there. You know, there is a lot of pressure on Ennis, though. Owen come in front of his own people, blah blah blah. But I still can't come up with a case.
Well, that's another factor that you know you're going to look at, and you know, is he the type that thrives on things like that? You know, seems it. Yeah, he just looks a complete. You know, package for me. He's not the finished article, but that's scary, isn't it? That's a scary thought.
What's your prediction, Daz?
I think he's going to stop Evanesian inside. I don't think Evanesian is going to seat 6.
I'm going a little bit later. I think it'll be around 8.
I think he's just going to break him down. I think he's going to treat David with respect he deserves. You know, and listen, can't take liberties with David Evanesian.
No.
You know,
Josh Kelly tried that, didn't he? And look
what
happened to him.
Yeah, you can't take liberties with David Evanesian. You know, and
you know what you're going to get, Dad, right? A tough mother.
Yeah. I just don't like the fact that Evanesian is going to be walking into Ennis's shots. I just think it's, you know, it's very. I won't fancy doing it. Put it that way.
And just on a side note, I wasn't going to cover this, but obviously Shakur Stevenson's come in for a lot of criticism for his performance over the weekend. I'm not going to ask you to break down the fight, but where do you think he's going to land next promotional-wise? And I'll go to Orkan first. Orkan, a lot of people are in for Shakur Stevenson. Where do you think he's going to land next?
Yeah, he turned down the offer from Top Rank.
A lot of money.
I think it was $50 million for 5 fights, and I think that Matchroom is best for him to join Matchroom.
Cheers, Harrison. Where do you think he's going to land?
PBC. I think Matchroom. No. I can't see how it works with Matchroom, to be honest.
Well, they are looking to develop that American market even more, Matchroom, aren't they? And they've got, you know...
Right. Well, Matchroom have the like you said there, that they're extended out the States very well, and they have the Saudi partnerships in place, which makes things a little easier. And then I suppose as a third pull for them is they're making fights with other promoters now with Queensbury and Boxer. So like not that there's anyone on Boxer's roster, I'm sure that Shakur Stevenson's got his eyes on, but there is that extension out that way. The thing is, Shakur Stevenson's a massive, massive draw in the States at the minute. And what PBC can offer him, especially in terms of fights, who's out there for him and an ability to be a bit of an A-side in those fights as well as really good money and a guaranteed gate in Vegas, all kind of that aligns really well for me. I am looking at Tank Davis in specific because that's right. You could genuinely just go to PBC for a 2-fight contract, build up and tank, because that tank is a super pay-per-view in the States. That wouldn't be too far off $1 million buys, those two fighting together. They are both massive draws. Isaac Cruz has probably still got the ins and outs of PBC as well. I know he's on a Matchroom card in a couple of weeks' time, but I just think there's a better flow of fights for him at PBC personally. But Matchroom's a fine bit as well. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I just think the best move for him is PBC.
What about you, Daz?
If they can get fights, the PBC schedule is very limited.
Yeah, they're still looking for a second broadcaster to get these next-gen shows because Prime have no interest in them. So once they get that over the line, NBC, I believe, are in talks with them at the minute to try and get something sorted.
That's why I lean to Matchroom, Harrison, because of fight days and and the different territories. No,
it's because you're an Eddie Hearn fanboy. That's why.
Yeah, I'll have a coffee. I am that as well, I admit. But I like to throw these virtual coffee bets out there. I'll have a coffee on it with you as well that says he goes to Matchroom.
We're on a lot of coffees now. The last couple of weeks, I feel like I'm going to have a bit of a caffeine rush by the end of this.
You like the way we don't offer the brand of coffee, though? We always say neutral, don't we?
Do you know what you'll see in 3 weeks' time? You just lifting a Starbucks cup up with a little logo.
Other brands are available. There's no sponsorship deal here yet. So, Daz, coming to you. Where do you think you land,
Daz? I don't know, mate. I think PBC, to be fair. But, I will say he's receiving a bit of stick, and I think it's unjust, mate, because I think he's a fantastic fighter. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Listen, he reminds me of a bit Pernell Whitaker-ish. Mm. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he might not have the biggest punch, but he's got skills in abundance, and that's all that matters. Listen, some fans want to see knockouts, people unconscious, exciting brawls. This kid's, it doesn't need to do that.
It just shows you, though, Dad, our boxing people. I won't name names. People within boxing. Let's just suggest that his obviously promotional deal was coming to an end for this last fight. And there's a lot of narrative gone out regarding he's boring, is this, is that. Listen, the guy fills out arenas early on in his promotional career.
Mate, is a trainer's dream. Is a trainer's dream because you send him out. You have an opponent. You have a 12-week camp. You work on specifics for what you're going to do, and then you just send him out. Yeah, go and do what you do.
Yeah. So you're going PBC, Dad. You're going PBC, Harrison. Orkan, I think you said Matchroom like me.
Yes.
Yes. So let's wait and see. Okay, talking about promotion. Go on, Harrison.
He'll end up at neither now that we've said that.
I know. Okay. Well,
he'll end up at Boxer.
Boxer, yeah. We have GBM next.
Now that's a great segue, Daz, into the next topic. We talk about promotional dreams. There's only one person to talk about. So, Orkan, I'm going to come to you first. I don't even know what's meant by a partnership deal. I'm hoping the finer details are going to come out sooner rather than later.
Co-promotion, I'd say that's going to be.
Yeah, Chris Eubank Jnr.
That's going to be Eubank Promote or whatever his company's got. Eubank Promotions or Boxer in association with Eubank Promotions.
Yeah, I mean
that's what Floyd did, didn't it?
He did.
Early on.
Come on, comparing Floyd to Eubank Jr. is like comparing Aaron.
No, I'm not comparing Eubank and Floyd. But what I'm saying is,
even from a commercial perspective.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it?
So, Orkan,
don't start picking on me just because you've been proven wrong a couple of times.
Anyway, Orkan, bring some order back. So, I don't know. I'm scratching my head on this one. Give us your thoughts on what Eubank's going to gain by going with Boxer, because he's talking about a Canelo fight. Well, if I wanted to fight Canelo, I wouldn't be signing with Boxer with all due respect. So that might cost me accreditation, but there we go. So, Orkan, talk to us about this partnership deal.
what I believe it's at least a 2-fight deal they have signed, and I think that if the rumors are true that Shava ESPN posted for a couple of weeks ago that the Eubank Jr. fight was front runner for Canelo next, and I think that pay-per-view wise, it could be very good for Boxer and Sky Sports. They could be the lone pay-per-view in the UK. And I think this might be one of the reasons why Boxer has signed him, to get a good pay-per-view fight for Sky Sports. I mean, that it is right in time, because the Canelo fight is to be announced pretty soon.
Listen,
yeah.
I think that Boxer are going to get involved with this Saudi thing, me personally.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see Boxer sign a couple more decent names. I think they're going to get involved in all this, if I'm honest. Quite easily, if Eubank Jr. fought Canelo, would Canelo fight in Saudi? Do you think?
For the money, of course.
Yeah.
For the money, but I think that fight will be in Vegas.
You mentioned that Canelo's kind of got his dates in the diary year in, year out. But, let's be honest, if there's enough green on the table, he'll fight in between them dates, won't he?
Yeah, well, look, sure. Where we are with Canelo, which is going off the topic of Eubank, really, is he's now past the stage of needing money, because he's done record-breaking gates in Vegas for years with every pay-per-view nation under him. He's done Showtime, he's done DAZN, he's done everything, Amazon now. He's made his money, so that's fine. Now, see, the balance there is the legacy is the issue, because I believe he's genuinely a legacy fighter. I think he wants to go. I think he wants the rematch with Bivol one day. I don't think he's ready to leave the sport just yet. And I am one who's a bit hesitant on the side of him fighting in Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, to be completely honest, but I don't think money's big of an issue for him, because...
So legacy-wise, Harrison,
yeah,
then he shouldn't be fighting Eubank Jr., should he?
Nowhere near him.
No way.
He should.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way things are at the minute is that the light heavyweight division's locked up, because we're going to see Beterbiev and Bivol, the Benavidez fight. I say it on here every week. I don't want to get into it because it annoys me. So the problem is he's stuck fighting a division in which he's effectively beaten anyone who's half decent. Edgar Berlanga.
He's in danger. He's in danger though. If he doesn't fight Benavidez, people always highlight that fact, won't they?
People will always talk about that. Yeah. Even now, 10 years down the line, people talk about, why did Mayweather not fight Pacquiao till they were both 38 and 39? Why did that fight not happen 5 years previous? And that'll always be the asterisk beside both of their careers, is the right time and then the right amount of fights. We're going to talk about AJ and Fury, I think, in years to come, and say, why did that not happen when they were both in their prime in 2021? It happens, unfortunately, in boxing, and it's just one of those things. With the Eubank thing going to Boxer, there's just two words I've been saying in my head for the last 2 days. This is just last chance. It's last chance for Chris Eubank. It's last chance for Boxer at big time boxing. It's the last chance for Sky Sports to really get themselves involved in the game. Everything has to really work and revolve around this deal. I'm not saying if Eubank goes and fights Canelo, he obviously isn't going to win. He doesn't need to, but he needs to do really, really good numbers. If, like Hakan said, if Sky are the lone box office promoter in the UK for that fight, needs to break 300,000-400,000. Is it going to do that at 5 a.m.? We'll see. But it's last chance. I don't particularly like the deal, because I don't like talking about inactive fighters that much. He's fought 4 times in the last 5 years. He's had 5 promotion companies in that time. I don't really like giving a lot of airtime to people like him, but we'll see what happens.
I more see a fight with Hamza Shiraz at some point.
Could happen.
Well, I looked at his rankings. He's ranked 6 in WBO, 6 in IBF, 3rd in WBC and 8th in WBA. So on paper,
Carl,
I don't know how he's there. I'll be honest, but
those rankings are a mess. They always have been. They always will be. Those rankings are partially intended to get a fighter from every single part of the world to really promote themselves. There's fighters in there that absolutely shouldn't be in that top 15. I guarantee you now, and especially if you took that super middleweight division, if you were to do your 1 to 15, I guarantee there's at least 20 fighters between the 4 networks and the 4 promoters that you've never even heard of or that shouldn't be in there.
And he's 34 as well. So time's not on his side, is it either?
It's a big problem for him. I'm not saying this deal won't work. I'm not trying to be negative about things, but you have to err on the side of pessimism with Chris Eubank Jr., I think. We've been here too many times with him before. He signed with Matchroom, Sauerland, now he's with Boxer again. He's been with PBC in the States, and it's never worked out for him. I think
he's a bit of a nightmare to work with, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think
a lot of the appeal does in the UK when he was on Sky last time on pay-per-view and the World Super Series was, let's be honest, Chris Eubank Sr. played his part in the build.
Yeah,
he's not there now.
No, I mean, Eubank Jr. is. Listen, it frustrates me, Eubank Jr. because he got the base to make a good fighter.
Yeah.
And I look and I think I just find it very annoying because I think he's going to look back on his career, no matter what happens going forward, with a lot of regrets.
And the Conor fight still lingering as well.
Mate, another one. It's just I remember watching Chris Jr.'s pro debut, and he come out to Simply the Best, and did all this, and I remember saying after it, right, that's where he's paid homage to his dad. That's where it needs to end. Straight after that belt, ended that fight. Right, needs to find his own identity now. He's got the tools.
Yeah,
got a chin. He's obviously he inherited that from his dad. Got a chin. Decent power. No, nothing spectacular. Decent power. Very athletic. Super fit. So the ingredients were there. If he'd have gone to somebody who he'd had respect for, and he couldn't get away with silliness, and he'd have knuckled down.
He's done the rounds with trainers, hasn't he? I mean, Adam Booth walked away because he couldn't work with the scenario.
I personally think the way I would have approached him, way I would have approached training him, would have literally been the first thing. Would have literally been spending a couple of days with him. And just getting an idea of his true nature, his true character, and basically it would have ended with a sit down saying, listen, what you expect from me, Chris, I know you want me to make you the best that you can be. Listen to what I expect from you. And there'd have been a long list. You listen, you turn up on time. No silliness, no distractions, no unnecessary distractions, no silly comments to media, knuckle down. In that camp, you work. That's what you're there for. And I think had he had that, I think we would have been holding him in a bit higher regard than we do as a fighter. In fact, I'm sure we would.
What about one name that's not been mentioned yet? What about a possible Billy Joe Saunders fight at some stage?
Oh,
I can't see Billy
coming. I'm just trying to think who Boxer can attract.
No, I can't see Billy ever fighting again, to be fair.
Who do you think he jumps in with next then?
Again, going back to the thing, I think Billy's the same. I think you need to sit down, training Billy, you need to sit down and tell him what you expect, because I saw Billy on a video 3 to 4 weeks ago arranging to have a bare knuckle fight with someone on a Monday morning. So to me, Billy's done with boxing.
I think so.
And it's a shame.
It's all right. It's a proper shame.
Because that kid was super talented.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
let's be honest. He gave Canelo a run until he got the eye injury, right?
He
You know,
did,
he
mate.
was
Yeah,
too well against Canelo.
he had his moments.
I'd actually say out of all the Brits that he's fought in the last 5 years, Billy Joe probably gave him the most trouble.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he set him the most problems. Yeah,
Liam
100%.
Smith didn't do bad in Dallas, though, did
Liam Smith was all right, but then Callum Smith, John Ryder, that lot, I thought Billy Joe did a much better job personally. Well, you bringing that fight up brings me back to about 2018. That's full circle. That's no good for boxing, that fight. It'll do a couple of cheeky.
I'm just wondering, Harrison, being realistic, if it is a 2-fight deal, what do these 2 fighters look like?
But just before we figure that, let's put into perspective what I was saying about Eubank Jr. talent wise. He gave away the first 6 rounds with Billy Joe.
He did, yeah.
You know, being an idiot, and then he just sort of showed up.
Yeah.
And that so what would he have done if he'd have started like that?
On the gas.
That to me, that epitomizes Chris Eubank as a fighter, though, because he gave the rounds away. Because he is on the arrogant and the cocky side, a bit like his old man was. That's just the fighting style. You know, Mayweather got away with it for 20 years. He was bloody brilliant, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
The difference is, Harrison, for me, his dad could put your lights out with one shot.
Yeah.
Hang on, he ain't got the power, has he?
No.
Junior.
His dad, and do you know what his dad did as well? His dad, I mean, not a lot of people know. Chris Senior started his career in America.
Yeah.
Chris had I think
he's a bit of a naughty kid once and got sent to America.
I think he got sent to live with a relative in New York. And Chris did obviously, and Chris Senior himself has said, I've walked in there, skinny kid with a funny lisp, a funny, voice, and everyone wanted to beat the English kid up. No one did. A tough, hard man, and did it the hard way. Maybe I know Chris Jr. He sent Chris Jr. to America for a little bit, and I think he did. I think he won a Golden Gloves as an. I'm not 100% on that, but maybe Chris Jr. should have spent a bit more time with a no nonsense American trainer to start with. But I think no matter what happens now, Chris Jr. is going to look back and think,
what a waste.
Maybe I missed the trick of becoming a pretty good fighter there. Listen, I'm not saying he would have been as good as his dad, because I think his dad could look back and have some regrets.
There's not many fighters that can't do that though, does it?
No, but I put Chris Senior's down to the Watson. It was never the same after Watson. So, which is, it's fair enough. You've got to say, I'll just be intrigued to see what the caliber of opponents like on his debut for boxer. Well, he hasn't got time to hang about. It's got to be someone. It's got to be almost a 60-40 fight for me.
Yeah, and it's got to be 20,000 at the O2. It can't be Joe. It's got to be.
Can boxer deliver that?
Well, I mean, serving up a journeyman or a fringe or someone below fringe world level, it ain't good enough.
Tell you what the plan might be. The winner of Callum Simpson and Zach Shelley at the O2 would make a lot of sense.
That's not bad. It's not a bad shot.
If the winner of that comes out looking good, I think that's the type of opponent you can stick Eubank in with and sell 20,000 at the O2, I think.
I still think you need a decent undercard on that as well. A good undercard on that as well, Everson, to be honest.
Yeah, if they get Azim, Whitaker, if they get those two on the undercard, they should do all right, I think. Lauren Price.
The challenge with Eubank is, from a commercial perspective, he's travelled a lot, hasn't he? He's been the away fighter a lot. I wouldn't really know what his fan base looks like.
It's not massive in London. It's not a huge fan base, to be completely honest. People will turn out because it's Eubank, but it needs a bit more of a push than the typical London fighters would, because obviously the way London fighters are, if you've got a fan base behind you, you do sell a good few tickets.
I think he needs a fight that sort of, what's the word? To the get the British public on his side.
Oh right, yeah.
Friendly fight, yeah.
Yeah. And that can only be by beating someone who's good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way he'll get that, and people will take him serious. Then if he beats someone who's good fighter, it's a 60-40, listen, even a 50-50, and he beats him and comes out and looks good doing it, people are then going to sit up and take notice.
I've got an horrible. I think it won't believe Smith. I'm just rattling in my brains. I think you might be right, Harrison. That's a very good shout regarding the Barnsley fight. But I'm still concerned that don't do the numbers back in London, no matter who wins at that fight.
I agree with you. It needs an undercard to sell. It's going to need your Ben Whittakers and your Adam Azims to get a couple of people down from the north and get a couple of tickets sold.
I think the opponent's going to have to be, if it's not the winner of Charlie Simpson, it's going to have to be a strong contender from wherever in the world.
David Morrell, someone like that. But then, will Boxer work with PBC? I don't know. It's really tricky.
One was going to change the world one team, be the promoter that works with all the other promoters, and etc. etc.
That was the only one.
What's he going to be fighting at? Is he going to be fighting at super middle?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
And you know what that does as well? That's
Caleb Plant.
Caleb.
I need to jump off.
Okay, cheers, Orkan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Caleb Plant's not a bad shout to John.
Super middle's not a great division at the minute, is it? Let's be brutally honest.
Right, so Canelo's got a lock on it. I'll tell you what this does do. If he is fighting up at that at 68, Conor Ben fight's dead in the water now.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think he might float around the middleweight, Harrison. I think he might be middleweight.
Hopefully, better fights to be made at middleweight as well, because you can look down the line. You can fight Charlo. There's a couple of names that are in there. So.
It's whether boxing can get them deals over the line, though. That's my concern.
I know, because I keep rattling off PBC names to you here, and my biggest fear is they've always been the trickiest ones to work with because of how internal they are. But then Matchroom don't have much to offer at the minute, really. Queensbury of Hamza Shiraz, I suppose. Hamza Shiraz Eubank could be a monster fight, to be fair.
It depends which market they're trying to develop for Eubank Jr. as well, because obviously he's based in America the majority of the time. So what's to say he won't be the away fighter in America?
Listen, let's see how serious he is. Eubank v Berlanga.
Now that's a fight. I can get behind that.
Let's see how serious he is.
That's good, yeah. And Hearn would love that fight. He'd stick Berlanga in there with him.
Yeah, let's see how serious he is.
Okay, guys, I said it about an hour tonight. So, Dad, anything else from you before I bring it to an end?
No, mate.
Thank you very much for your attendance. Harrison, anything from you, fella?
Not at all. Football's coming home, and that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, this time next week we'll be European champions. Okay, this has been Last Ball Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Liftings and SC Travel. Same time next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. If you don't agree with any of our views, post comments below. Normally it's Harrison who gets your comments, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Same time next week, 7 p.m. Take care.